Okay, we're on. Hi, my name is Katie, and I have the YouTube channel Oil Stories, as well as a blog by the same name. Something you should know about me is that I consider myself to be a recovering Mormon or post-Mormon. I was raised in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and born in the Covenant. I was temple married. I guess I still am, since I'm still on the rolls. My family and I have not attended for a couple years now. The reason I'm making this video is because I've been making a couple playlists here on YouTube to explain why my shelf broke. And so to cover topics that I haven't found on YouTube, I thought it would be helpful to people like me to also consider issues which aren't available right now to look at on YouTube. So I consider myself to be an empath as well as an idealist, and therefore there was always cognitive dissonance for me. If anybody's doubted their doubts and tried to stay faithful, it's been me. Because there was always a difference between what was taught and what was lived. But anyway, one of my first memories of cognitive dissonance outside of the home was when I was in primary, around the age of 7 or 8, and I was taught in the small branch, so I was usually the only student in the class. If there were more, it was like there would be 2 or 3 in the class total. And there were 2 sweet ladies that were my teachers all through primary, Sister Bender and Sister Manley. And there was also a church librarian, Sister Parrish. And I can remember on that day being so upset and going to like all 3 of them with my question because I was so shocked. You know, when you learn about Joseph Smith, he's almost deified. You know, he'd had to be somebody really pure, really special, really awesome to have God the Father and his son Jesus Christ appear to him in the woods as a 14-year-old boy. And so I guess that's why it came as such a shock when my teacher told me that he eloped with Emma Hale. And that didn't make sense. How could somebody so pure and good, the second in standing to Christ, as was described when he died, how could he dishonor Emma Hale like that? Because eloping is really a dishonor always more on the woman. So I went and did some studying this week to figure out what was going on in the 19th century when it came to attitudes towards eloping, and discovered that there were 2 ways the word was used. Eloping would be when a woman left her husband and a man would put an ad in the paper and say, you know, my wife has left me, she comes to your store, I'm not going to cover her bill. That was called an elopement ad. And it showed, basically to the world, that the man had lost his patriarchal authority. Now, I haven't looked it up, but I'm sure something like that could have happened with Brigham Young's first plural wife, because she was a married woman and ran off with Brigham and left her husband and 5 kids. And so her husband might have run an elopement ad. The second kind of elopement, of course, is the kind we're familiar with a couple running off to get married. Now, there was usually, the main reason was that they didn't want to, that they went against the girl's parents' wishes. That was reason number 1. And again, that reflects a lack of patriarchal authority. How scandalous! You know, I was raised in a patriarchal church. So that's really ironic that Joseph would basically pee in the eye of Isaac Hale, whose patriarchal authority he didn't respect, huh? Another reason they say might have been was a little hanky-panky. The girl was already pregnant. Another reason, which I don't think is as likely, is that the dowry for the bride, the boy didn't want to pay it. So all those reasons, I think, you know, it was probably likely that the reason why Joseph and Emma ran off was because of not wanting to listen to Isaac Hale's opinion on the matter. And I think Isaac Hale's opinion was valid. I wouldn't want my daughter marrying some con man who had spent over a decade swindling people and living off people and being basically a parasitic sponge. And so that's why I have never gotten over the elopement of Emma Hale and Joseph Smith. It doesn't seem like it went well with the character of a man so good and so godly that he could have a theophany and then turn around and be so unpatriarchally disrespectful of Isaac Hale. So Mormon apologists, you answer me this. To me, that was just Joseph's first act of disrespect towards Emma Smith. And you know, it wasn't going to be his last. That's me signing off. Bye.